Yeah, this is primetime potent. Keep it entertaining. You already knowin'. Outworking everybody and he don't ever quit. Talking about plenty comics like Graveyard Shift, Sea Dogs, Fighting Wolf, U.S. Assassin. Doing just what he loves. This is his passion. Bring more value to your dollar. No, I'm not frontin'. That's how just a writer became a moral compass. This is primetime potent. This is primetime potent. Let's go.
Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome to La Pod Gods. I'm the moral compass, Mark Bolton. With the main event, Phil McNulty. Phil was sick. We couldn't do La Pod Gods, so we're gonna just do it now, Sean.
Man, some breaking news. It appears that AEW has signed Daniel Bryan, well, formerly known as Daniel Bryan, but Bryan Danielson, along with talks of signing CM Punk. Sean, how do you feel about CM Punk being back?
Yeah, cool. What up, Leandro? Look, if he's happy, I'm happy. That's how I see life.
Maybe Phil and I will work in some wrestling talk in here because it was such a huge week, Sean. You can't deny us our wrestling talk. You know, Leandro, he's been upset all week. He thought he'd see the Pod Gods before he saw Best Friend Show. He's not hating; he's just stating, guys. So
Yeah. I appreciate it,
Leandro. Noah and NTM Comics says this show can't start soon enough. YouTube's been dead all day.
Oh wow.
Dexter Weeks says, yeah, man.
Yeah, Dex.
We got Lord Crackhead in the house. He said, hey, peeps.
What up, Jeremy?
Leandro says, prime time and main event. Oh, yeah, there's JT, too.
I'm used to
that. Amanda B. Wait, I'm in the wrong place. No, you're in the right place. We were just, I think Amanda actually wants us to go on with the wrestling talk.
Oiliest wrestler. Last night, Amanda B., there was a guy who rolled another man off of his shoulders just because he was so oiled up. It was incredible.
So how has everyone been? Phil, I watched you last night. You were on the new show, The Co-Host.
Great job. Loved it. You did an awesome job. I need more Phil in my life.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It was a lot of fun. Shout out to Brian for Dojo Cone Comics and K Manifesto. And special shout out to the man, Aaron Lopresti, one of my favorite artists. Tried to talk, even after the show, I was still talking to him about artwork, about his campaign, Wraith of God. If you haven't, go ahead, check out his Indiegogo. Sign-ups are available now for his campaign, but I plugged Best Friend Show, plugged the Pod Gods, even plugged Revengers. So last night I tried to get as much stuff as I could after some difficult technical difficulties to start with.
Yeah, you were great last night, Phil. You're a natural at this. This is why you're the star of La Pod Gods and the Best Friend Show.
Facts. I love Aaron's Mystic. That was the cross-gen book. The female, the lady. Yeah, I got that. Oh, loved his art.
Yeah, what I thought was cool was I called the superfecta. Like in horse racing, the top 4 horses that come in they called the superfecta. So he's one of the few artists in the world that can say he's worked for Marvel, DC, Image, and Dark Horse. When Dark Horse was publishing at the time, just not taking creator stuff that was already published and putting it under their brand. Back when you had to compete to be part of that company. So it's pretty cool stuff.
Facts.
Leandro says, Daniel Bryan and Punk. I'm watching AEW on DVR after this stream.
Whatever that is.
They're not on the show yet, but there's rumors. Well, I feel like it's almost official that
Daniel Bryan is Bryan Danielson's pretty much signed up. He's going to debut on the Arthur Ashe show in New York in September. So
is he dead?
It is.
How's he going to show
it's
up?
at the arena.
At the arena, yeah.
All right.
Whoa!
Making a special appearance
from the grave.
Mark says this timeline is better because of this trio. Oh yeah, Hail Chat and all that. OC Steve in the house. Not only
Chavo.
Not only that, we got Chavo and Nick Gage on AEW.
Love Steve.
So, Sean, what have you been up to, man? You got some things going.
Yeah, just working on finishing up the sketches for the pre-orders. The book is in transit to me from Arizona. Should be here sometime next week. I got a notice that it was stopped in Arizona. So, but it says like Wednesday or Thursday or Tuesday. It keeps changing, but hopefully by next week I will get the books in hand and start fulfillment. And yeah, great times. I got the they sent me a video of the proof, and man, was that cool. I shared it with you guys immediately, like once I got it, and I was just like, holy hell. Like, yeah.
It makes me, if I'm thinking about now putting out a preview book just because because the black and white stuff that we've seen from you in our group chat, that the listeners are like, what? Yes, we have the Extreme Friendship group chat that we have. But just seeing that black and white stuff, and it brought a tear to my eye because I'm like, Sean's doing it. And then that got me encouraged, like, oh man, I got to put together a black and white book because the inks are just so cool. I mean, it's great to see color, but there's just something about that black and white that speaks to us. Yeah,
and huge shout out to Dexter Weeks for lettering the book and handling all the production and all that. Like, I love you, brother. I can't wait till we all get together. Marg's on me, and it's gonna be good times. But yeah, Dex did the heavy lifting without.
Dex says, "What about that show Heels on Stars? Yeah, that looks awesome. Stephen Mill in a pro wrestling show.
Is that out yet?
Not yet. I think it's debuting soon.
Yeah, they just dropped the trailer like a day or two ago.
Yeah.
So today I bought my tickets for Michigan. I am flying out Sunday morning. Saturday night I watch more wrestling talk. Sorry, Sean. Matt Cardona versus Nick Gage, death match for the GCW title in Atlantic City. And then the next morning I fly to Michigan and I start signing Graveyard Shift books. All the books are in. John messaged me this morning and said the book 3 is in. Little Graveyard Shift came in yesterday, and the day before that, the supplemental book. So,
congratulations! I know everything you guys been going through with Graveyard Shift 3, and like so happy that it's coming out to the fans. And congratulations to you, because like a lot of you guys are starting all this. Like I know John said like him and Zach started this gangster shit, but you guys, the both of you together are a dangerous team, and we're all the better for it. Not to just blow your ego because you're my best friend, but like honestly, you guys put in the work.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, man. I think it's a total of like 9 books. There's the collected edition. There's the book 3 EVS cover, Shane Davis cover, Aaron Alfeche cover. That's 5 books right there. Supplemental 2 Aaron Alfeche cover, little Graveyard Shift variant. 9 books.
There you go.
Yeah, crazy. I'll be sure to bring some home with me. I won't wait for the comps to be shipped.
There you go.
Besides going out to Michigan, Viking Wolf, only 5 days left in the campaign. Can you believe it? It feels like just yesterday we launched it.
Yeah, time really flew by. Like these past few months, it's been like a blink of an eye. Like from doing the pre-party on ANS, and then you launching on Bancroft and everything that you guys are doing. It's awesome. And I will say tomorrow night on Art and Stuff, we will be announcing the winners of the Viking Wolf and Stuff contest. We took yesterday off. A lot of stuff just been kind of busy between both Joe and I, and Joe hurt his back yesterday, so it kind of worked out for the best in a bad way, I guess. But so tomorrow night with Art T. Bear on Art and Stuff.
Awesome. Yeah, so tune in. You'll get the Wolf and Stuff winners announced, and then the following week you're going to have Viking Wolf artist Matt Dalton on, correct?
Yeah. Matt will be on. We had to reschedule a couple people, but Matt will be on. I think we'll have another guest as well. I think 2. It's a Wednesday hangout, and that's how we do. We do segment artists like 10 to 15 minutes each, and then we'll have a topic of discussion. And Matt's a great guy. He's super sickly talented, and good stuff.
Cool, man. And for those that haven't backed Viking Wolf yet, check out this trailer. Go check out the page when you have a chance. It ends in 5 days. There you have it. So one thing I will mention, I changed the format of the book. It's still oversized, but it's instead of 8.5 by 11, it's 11 1/4 by 7 something. The 8.5 just cut off too much art. So
all right.
Yeah, so it's still oversized book. We got Phil Diaz in the chat.
Will you need me to resize my pinup for you then? Because I was doing on 8.5 by 11. Do you need me to resize it for you then?
Yes.
You got it.
I'll send you the dimensions.
Sweet.
All right, because mine's on a double page spread, so I might have to need the.
We'll make it to work.
Fit it in.
Noah says, "Why is Phil Diaz here? No one mentioned Lobo." Lord Crackhead says, "The moral compass is undoubtedly the fulfillment king of CG." I don't know if you heard, I fulfilled 5 campaigns last year. Going to fulfill 5 more this year.
Wait, Phil's here because he knows good content.
All right, so we have a topic this week. Sean, you're the one who presented the topic.
Mm-hmm.
Best penciler inker combinations.
Yeah, in our own opinion, before people get salty Sallies and like, no, it's this person. Shut up, I don't care. This is my opinion.
This is our favorites. It's not the best.
Yeah.
We have to make sure that I feel like we always need to put a disclaimer out when we do these lists because we're like, these are our favorite. They're not like, if we were ranking the best, we'd have totally different lineups probably, right? But as our favorites, you can expect it probably starting from somewhere between mid 80s to about 2000. And that sort of seems where I think we're going to see a lot of our artist penciler inker combos.
Yeah, no, when I posted the topic on Twitter, people were responding back. John Byrne, Terry Austin, enough said.
Oh yeah.
Well, that's not really my X-Men, so
right. In fact, I have a couple X-Men. I have one in my honorable mention and one as my in my top 3 for X-Men creators. But it was just, John Byrne and Terry Austin, they just weren't my X-Men.
But they are legends, and their X-Men run is sick and nasty, and nobody has come close to that.
I have John Byrne on my list, but not with Terry Austin.
Ooh.
Mr. Von Stugel says Phil is stream herpes. He gets around. He's making his presence known.
As he should, because we need more Phil in our life talking about art. Wait, our Phil or Zaid? Because this is kind of confusing right now.
Yeah, I don't know. Phil, I think he's talking about our Phil.
All right.
Yeah, because I think it was because of my appearance last night, which shout out to everyone I got a couple DMs after that one. And then my next appearance, my next guest appearances, I'm going to be with Mark Yoon. So after last Best Friend show, Mark and I started chatting. We got a date all picked out, ready to go, and more art stuff from, I guess, the herpes of CG.
I spoke with Yoon on the phone the other day. I had a great conversation, and he was telling me all about it. I'm like, yeah. He's like, you got to come in. I'm like, I'm never going back to Jersey.
Oh, come on. We're Jersey fresh.
Maybe for the pizza.
And the bagels. No one gets a bagel better than Jersey.
It's hard. Look, these morons down here, they're like, we got pizza and bagels. I'm like, no, you don't. You guys need to relax.
All right. Penciler inkers. Who wants to go first? Anyone got an honorable mention?
I do. Okay, honorable mention. So I have 5 on my list together. Mm-hmm. So honorable mention will be David Finch and Danny Mickey. David Finch is one of my favorite artists. Like his foundation is Quesada. His gesture sketch is Quesada. His foundation is Silvestri, and his noodling and line work is Beasley. Shout out to the other Phil. And Mickey's one of the nastiest embellishers, finishers, if you will. And those X-Men covers that they did, Messiah Complex or whatever it was, and even on Ultimatum, you can't go wrong. Like that's a vicious team, and it's really inspiring to see them both collab because Danny brings out the best of that Beasley noodles that Finch adds to his line weights, and it's just I can get really really geeky over it for hours. Like, oh, look at the specific splatter he used, or this rendering compared to this rendering, and it's phenomenal. It's phenomenal stuff.
Awesome. Any other honorable mentions or?
Oh yeah, Joe Benitez and Joe Weems, sick combination. Joe's work on Weapon Zero, and then when he went onto the Darkness, he went less of a Tooney style to his foundation to his. You know I did, brother. I put that in for you. Yeah, that Darkness stuff is one of my favorites, and how Benitez kind of does like a little bit of Alfonso Mucca, or whatever it is, designy elements with a little bit of H.R. Geigerish, and then Weems has his own aesthetic to it that brings out the best in them, and that's one of my favorite teams as well.
Nice. Phil, honorable mentions.
So I excluded two of my favorite artists. As you know me, I love Todd McFarlane. I love Rob Liefeld. I just prefer when they ink themselves. That's just me, and I'm not putting teams. So I excluded McFarlane and Liefeld from this conversation just because I enjoy when they ink themselves.
What about when McFarlane inks Liefeld?
Well, I mean, then you get cables. You get that cable cover, and then I'm a sucker for it. And I excluded one of my honorable mentions was going to be Todd McFarlane and Greg Capullo, just because I love that run on Spawn. But for my official two honorable mentions, I've got Jack Kirby and Joe Sinnott, just because if you've seen Jack Kirby work after he came back from the war, his pencils were just freaking trashed by an inker named Vince Coletta. And he used to do like romance and romance and westerns that Vince Coletta just killed all of Kirby's lines and his hatching, and he just made it solid blacks. So when Joe Sinnott came in there, that's when Kirby sort of just hit the ground running. That's during the Black Panther, during his Avengers, just basically, and then going to the Fourth World, he brought Joe with him, so it's just an awesome combo. And my number one honorable mention is Alan Davis and Mark Farmer. I love Excalibur. I loved Alan Davis's X-Men run when he sort of came back, sort of in the 2000s. So after Jim Lee and after Andy Kubert sort of left the book, Alan Davis picked it up, and it's some of the most tightest, cleanest pencils. And Mark Farmer adds his perfect brush quality to it, to those black spots areas. So I just love those sort of fades in that Farmer added to really just bring some depth to those tight pencils. So my number one honorable mention is Alan Davis and Mark Farmer.
Nice. I have two I want to mention. First up, Jim Lee, Scott Williams. They're the team. That's my X-Men. That's who I grew up with. Their Hush, Batman Hush, I think is the best Batman story art-wise ever. I'm sure they'll be on a lot of people's top three, but I figure they get so much praise. I want to bring attention to people that, some teams that maybe get a little overlooked. And then next up, I said John Byrne was on my list, but not for X-Men. John Byrne and Dick Giordano for Superman. That's when I first really noticed John Byrne when he was revamping Superman over at DC. I feel like that's some of my favorite work from him, and I thought they made a great team.
I concur.
Man, look at these honorable mentions. If these are honorable mentions, I can't imagine what our top threes are going to be.
So just wanted to point it out. I showed it, but Yoon says Turner and Detron. That's his favorite combo.
Great team.
All right. Your number three.
All right. Mine is a relatively new team up collaboration, but it's been years in the making and well worth it. Brett Booth and my guy, well, me and Mark's guy, a good friend of ours, Adelso Corona. Adelso is one of the nastiest establishers, illustrators that are out there. If you haven't followed his work, you are missing out in life. He brings that great 90s quality that Art Bear or Scott Williams has, and just noodles it out. It's extreme. It's more exciting. I loved the Bloodshot book, not because of the story, but because of the art. Whatever they do in the future, I'm on board. The X-Men run, phenomenal. The 2 issues that they did, and every sneak peek, it's fucking delicious to look at his lines. You know, it's a great team. It's been years in the making. And I'm so happy for everything that's happened for Adelso. And again, Adelso Corona.
Really happy for his success. Last few years, he's really like gone to another level.
Oh yeah, he's just, it's phenomenal.
Did you see? I don't know if you had the Wildstorm compendium that came out probably I think like a year or 2 years ago, and there's a Backlash story by Booth and Adelso inked it, and
that's how he got the job. Yeah,
and it was just the most awesome piece in that book. Like I just remember looking at it. I've seen them
firsthand up front in person.
Crazy.
It's phenomenal. Like you see like his choices for lines, and like up close, because a lot of it gets condensed when it's printed. So like there's stuff that you may not catch, but bro, when I was just looking over there, I'm like, oh, I'll get you a coffee. Like, give me a minute. I'm just looking over these fucking lines. Yeah.
Speaking of Brett Booth, did an unboxing a couple days ago, the new Wildstorm Legends Artifact Edition book.
Nice.
Incredible.
Yeah, that's huge.
They're talking about doing a second print. So if you're not a part of the Wildstorm Universe fan group, go sign up.
Yeah. Well worth it. Brett Booth's one of the best illustrators out there.
One of the most underrated pencilers, I think, in almost, I'm going to say, the history of comics. He's just so good, and I'll never forget that Backlash Spider-Man crossover. Oh, that's my God.
Bible. That's the Bible.
Is just one of, I think that may be one of the most influential like stories on my artwork, because I just remember, because no one captures Spidey like McFarlane, and Brett Booth to me he's my second favorite Spider-Man artist, just because when he draws them, it's untouchable. Like I just cannot believe what I'm seeing.
He brings in McFarlane and Art Adams.
Yes,
and like you're not losing right there. I wish Marvel wasn't dumb. I wish they gave him a long run on Spider-Man with Adelso. I don't care who writes it, because I'm not going to read it. I just want to look at the art.
Oh man, Marvel and Spider-Man and potential artists. That's a story offline for you, Sean.
Well, I know, but when we had Brett on for art and stuff for the second time, he had got the X-Men gig, and for a long time people were like, to Marvel, put Brett on X-Men, yada yada yada. Yeah. So I feel that was a fan movement,
Phil.
Yes. Oh, so number three. Number three. So this is one of my favorite teams. I feel like Joe, Fred Durst himself, might pop in after I say this combo. But my third favorite pencil inker team, mainly from the darkness, mainly because I love everything Image Comics, Mark Silvestri and Matt Bat Manning. I love Silvestri and Bat. Like, I mean, I remember seeing Silvestri's Marvel work with his very early X-Men stuff and then his Wolverine stuff, and you just felt like the inker wasn't quite capturing his lines, wasn't quite capturing the detail he was putting in there. And when Bat got on there, just for seeing the Darkness 1 cover and just seeing all, and I just remember being blown away. The detail in the hair, I was just like, this is who was made to ink Silvestri.
My number three, I'm biased on this, but Savage Hawkman, Joe Bennett, and Art T. Bear, they don't get enough credit for this book. When this came out as part of the New 52, this book was on par with any other book art-wise. Anything Jim Lee was doing, Ivan Rice, take your pick. As far as I'm concerned, Joe Bennett and R.T. T-Bear were putting out the one of the best looking books in all of comics at that time.
Yeah, great shit.
Mr. Von Stugel says Ed Benes and Sandra Hope. That's his only real input.
Sandra Hope and Andy Kubert are putting out some of the greatest stuff. When they teamed up on Dark Knight 3, I just was like, because I'm so used to seeing Andy Kubert with Mark Pennington, from those X-Men days and then early DC days. But Sandra Hope just gets it. And now it's funny because you on Instagram, if you're not following Sandra Hope on Instagram, you are missing out because you get to see how loose Andy is starting to just draw now. And that's why he's starting to put out more work than ever, because Sandra is just key at knowing exactly what she's got to do with those lines. I've never seen anyone, a master of a brush, do such thin lines before.
Finesse.
I'm like, damn. That's why I use a brush pen. I cannot use a straight up brush.
She's a student of Williams. Like the whole like Wildstorm inking bullpen. Like, how can you not be like absorbed into that? Like, yeah, she's super talented and a sweetheart.
All right, Sean, your number 2 pick.
All right, Art Adams and Terry Austin. Art Adams is the shit. When we were younger, there was all the X-Men annuals, the Asgardian stuff, the tie-ins. Like, Art Adams is one of the best illustrators out there, and Terry Austin, his nib work is almost unparalleled to anybody. There's a lore, like a secretness of how he would cut his nibs, how he would adjust them perfectly or to his needs. And talking to some friends, I'm like, do you know how he did it? And they're like, no, we've asked, but he won't let out the secret, And it's phenomenal to see Terry Austin and Art Adams together. Like, that's the peanut butter and jelly that puts me into a diabetic coma, And we're getting like all these like reprints of their runs, and you could see more of the line work clearer as opposed to like the newsprint from like the 80s. And give me that all day, every day, almost over every artist out there.
Nice pick, Sean.
Sean's got these nice sleeper picks that when you think about it, like, man, I should have thought about that.
Yeah, I know my shit.
You're like, this is my topic. I'm gonna kill it.
Yeah, no, exactly. He brought this to the table, so you know he had some ideas. Phil, your number 2.
My number 2 is possibly my favorite. I don't know. My favorite penciler is so hard to say, but my favorite penciler could be this man. So influential throughout my sort of upbringing because of his comics. It's Dan Jurgens. I love Dan Jurgens' art. No, nothing, just smooth and clean and fine. And I love Booster Gold. I love Death of Superman. I love the Reign of the Superman. Just that is it. But then it seemed like Dan sort of went under the radar for a little bit until he got this man in the late 90s, Norm Rapmund. Jurgens and Rapmund they're number 2 for a reason on my list. Norm keeps sort of Dan's pencils current in a way. And I think, Dan's been doing this for, 30 plus years now.
Yeah.
And Norm came in with Image and with Extreme, and just everything was so clean and awesome. And then when they teamed up with Teen Titans, I was like, oh, this is some shit. And then one of my favorite storylines of all time is Jeff Johns' Booster Gold run. Just the artwork on that is timeless. And when you're doing a book that does time travel and alternate universes, you need an art style that's going to be timeless. And just Jurgens and Rapmund, there's a reason why they now seem to work. That it seems like he's the only one who inks Jurgens' work anymore is Norm. Yeah. And Norm is just an awesome dude. I met him at a convention a few years ago. One of the nicest, most awesome, genuine lover of comics that I've ever met in my life. This is a man who you say the word comic book and he's all smiles. So Norm Rapmund and Dan Jurgens, my number 2 of favorite penciler inker teams.
Yeah, you're right. Norm brings like what kind of RT Bear used to do when he was working over Dan, and I believe because since Norm was one of the extreme bullpen inkers, like they had the tutelage of RT Bear to be there.
Right.
So yeah, he complements Dan's pencils, but he's got that cool '90s noodle to it, like to make it exciting, add more elements to the whole page, and you're just like, this is a team that I don't want to see ever break up.
Right. There's this trick that I've stolen from Norm, and I think it's hilarious. It's that you if you've seen Jurgens pencils, it's just straight up hatching, right?
Yeah.
And then Norm adds one line that just curves through just those hatching lines, and you're just like, man, just that one line made that bicep pop, and it's just amazing what an inker can do. Now, if we did a list of favorite inkers, RT Bear is probably number one for me. But since we're doing creative teams, just like I said, some pencilers and inkers are off this list because these are my favorite teams.
Sure. Yeah.
Interesting choice, Phil. Dan Jurgens will come up later on my list. But my number two, I first noticed them on, I don't know, I think it's kind of like a polarizing run, but Grant Morrison's JLA, Howard Porter, and John Dell. I just thought their artwork was so fantastic. And this is the first time I took notice to either of them. I don't know if Porter was doing anything before this, if this was like his first big break book, but man, I looked forward to that book every month. It just seemed like nothing else that DC was putting out, especially Justice League wise. Everyone just had a unique look to them, and I thought they made a great team.
When you said that, all I can think is that cover. That's one of the most iconic covers, and it's hard to do that when in the 90s, when you're fighting all the Image guys and you're fighting like Marvel, and DC, and especially when you're just the JLA. But I'll never forget that Aquaman up in front, that perspective. It felt like the most like hip and current book that the DC was producing, because they're all, the knocks on them's always like they feel like they're 10 years behind.
Yeah,
but that felt current.
So before we get into our first round, I want to say, I want to remind people, U.S. Assassin 3 launches August 20th. Mike McMahon's actually coming to Jersey for the launch. We're going to launch on Red Valkyrie's channel at 5, then head to Philadelphia, watch the Mercenary Flip Gordon win the Ring of Honor world title. I have the trailer right here, and then afterwards I thought maybe I would share a sneak peek with you guys if you're interested in seeing something from U.S. Assassin.
I'm the Mercenary Flip Gordon. And I'm joining the U.S. Assassins team.
Yeah, this is U.S. Assassin. They bout the action, ready to make it happen. Yeah, this is the elite government task force. Whole team is official. What more could you ask for? Yeah, this is U.S. Assassin. You don't want drama. If they pull up, they blasting. Monsters of the graveyard shift. You ain't never seen a squad quite like this. We got Bazooka Dog, and he don't cut no slack. A dog with a giant bazooka on his back. Slither is a reptilian, alien. 3 snakes for a tongue. You don't wanna mess with him. Sensei Steel, who is so mysterious, martial artist and trainer, swift with the kicks. Zero Face is a bad guy turned good. The Mercenary is a beast, get it understood. Takeout is a fast shooter, fast draw. Kirby is the Lone Ranger, but she hits hard. Lieutenant Rafe, second in command, yes indeed. Who's the brains of the team? A super ninja at the lead. Yeah, hey, this is U.S. Assassin. Yeah, this is U.S. Assassin. Let's go.
August 20th. So U.S. Assassin's going to have Mike McMahon cover, and I got the great Matt Martin from Man to do a cover for us. I thought I'd share the colors for that cover. I shared it with you guys I think yesterday, I believe.
Let's share to distract the people from Sean dying on screen. You can tell his eyes are watering.
My herpes went to my lip, my lungs. How does that happen? How does the drip go up?
All right, are you guys? Do you see it? Yep,
I see it.
There you go. We had to quick blanket out for a second because our stream will be taking off because we are too hot for YouTube
again.
So Matt Martin, amazing piece right here, colored by Anthony George, also known as Z. Colors for Graveyard Shift. This is Lilith in her tub of blood, and she's holding her trophy, which is U.S. Assassin's Mask. This is just phenomenal.
I
got a really bad comment, but I'll wait till after the stream.
I'm sure I know what you're going to say.
Okay.
you know things are getting, you're starting to become a little bit more like Sean when he says, I got something to say. And you're like, yeah, I made that joke in my head because Sean already is infiltrated.
Yeah, but I have a feeling this is going to be a big seller for us. Just turned out fantastic.
Yeah, Matt's one of those guys that his overall art has a sharp edge to it. I remember getting Snowman in the 90s, and it was very McFarlane-ish as far as aesthetic, but he had a sharp line to his details, kind of like how John Sabal of Extreme Studios, and John's one of the best inkers out there as well. But yeah, I've always loved Matt's detail and art.
Past Master Dan said, is Chase your son? Yes, he is 11 years old. He's been making comics with me since he was, I don't know, 4?
Something like that,
yeah. Amanda B says, more TMC Lego compatible figures. Yeah, there's going to be one. Here he is right here. First 100, get this guy. Comes with a little, if I can get it out of his hand. He doesn't want to let it go. The little U.S. Assassin brick comic. He's wearing the U.S. Assassin Graveyard Shift t-shirt. First 100 backers will get one of these.
Looks great. Looks awesome.
Thank you. Amanda B says, Matt Martin as in Snowman Matt Martin. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when I saw, I guess when he started, being more seen in our circles,
mm-hmm.
I reached out to him last year and was like, hey, could I get a cover? And past Master Dan making the joke probably Sean was going to make. All right, round 1.
Uno. All right, my number 1 is Rob Liefeld's pencils with Todd McFarlane inks. I remember when my dad first gave me a copy of New Mutants 88. It was the cover of The Blob with Pyro getting laid out on the ground, and then this new G.I. Joe looking Terminator character with all this detail. And to me, The Blob and Pyro being in the X-Men cartoon, The Children of the Atom, that's my X-Men because, you can't go wrong. So they already have the what's up with that. I remember my dad's like, here, son. And you see all this great noodling detail that Todd added because Todd's like, if you give me 2 lines, I'll put in 10, bud. And the rendering of it and the other covers they did. There was the Cable Wolverine where Cable, I got a high-res that Rob sent me of that one. And just going at it, and that's my favorite team. They cannot do wrong. Again, Rob's aesthetics and fundamentals, and then Todd's artsy-fartsy side of it. Give me that all day, every day. That's what it's all about for comics. That's exciting for me. I love it.
Yeah, that's a great team. For me, my favorite Rob art is actually Rob uninked, just his pencils. He did a short 2-year period, I think, where he was just going straight from pencils. And that's my favorite because I feel that really captures the energy in his work.
Mm-hmm.
But after that, I would say McFarlane is my second favorite inker.
Yeah, Rob's given me a handful of pages of his pencil work, and I just study that shit all day long. That shit is really tight.
Pastmaster wrong one. Pastmaster Dan said he had a friend named Pyro. His gums bled all the time. Leandro says DC Comics have the best artists of the big two, including Jorge Jimenez, Dan Mora.
Jimenez is very talented.
Yeah, Jorge is.
Phil, your number one pick.
My number one pick. This was as soon as Sean said this topic, this was an easy no-brainer for me. 1B or 1A of my favorite comic book artist and my number 2 inker of all time, Jim Lee Scott Williams. That's my X-Men. Not only was it my X-Men, that was my Wildcats. Not only was that my Wildcats, that was my Batman Hush. Right? And they're just my favorite team of all time. The goal for my artwork is to be Jim Lee and Scott Williams rolled into one. I had somebody ink my artwork before, and they just absolutely just demolished every line that I had. And I said, "What are you doing?" I was like, "What are you doing?" The same guy who hired me for my first gig. I'm like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "I had to make sure it looked like Kirby art." I said, "No," but but if I have my examples here, this was the '92 cover that I was tabbed to do for Marvel. This is my first one of the big contacts from one of the big two. But this is my total love of everything 90s. This is my style of artwork. And it's just because I love. But if you ever seen Jim Lee pencils, you just rather. And when you see him ink it, you're just like, I wish God did it. And then here's my Batman 50 store cover. But that even when I'm stagnant with my characters, I always like to do just seeing the even nice, the Scott Williams does something that I do in my pencils just so I remember to ink them. And that's to make sure you start with your big line, big crosshatch line, and make it smaller and maybe a little dash on the ends just to break it up and add some more depth. And this is just the easiest choice because all my favorite comics, well, most of my favorite comics have been produced by Jim Lee and Scott Williams, whether it be the X-Men run with Chris Claremont, whether it be Jeff Loeb and Hush, or just whether it be Wildcats, which I think is my favorite illustrated story of all time. So, Jim Lee.
The Heroes Are Born stuff doesn't get enough praise. That
Fantastic
Four run.
My God.
That's heavy hitters of stories. Like how Hush is like all the best characters and villains or whatever. Within that six issue span that Jim and Scott did, phenomenal. And like Scott had took a decent, not decent, but like a different approach to Jim's hatching on his faces. A little more of a squiggly brush, And that was what, 96, 97-ish? And yeah, that stuff doesn't get fills the shit.
We got Muttman in the chat. What's up, Muttman? All right. My number one pick, Phil brought him up earlier, Dan Jurgens. I have a different Jurgens team, though. This is my, I guess, it was my second exposure to Dan Jurgens. But Jurgens, Brett Breeding on Superman. There was 4 Superman titles at the time, and I feel like the Jurgens Breeding team, that was like, those were my guys. I don't know. Breeding, I just thought brought a thicker line to Jurgens' work that I really liked. The Panic in the Sky crossover event, as well as, all the Doomsday stuff. And there was a killer guest appearance of Deathstroke in one of the issues that I think it was like a 2-part story that is just one of my all-time favorites. But I went with Jurgens and Breeding. Yeah,
solid list. Solid talent for sure. They didn't make DC as boring as when I was reading the books. I'm like, oh, this is actually exciting and not stale.
Mark Yoon says Bags and Randy Emberlin left a huge influence on me, mainly because of Maximum Carnage.
It's funny because Bags is probably the tightest penciler I've ever seen. and that's why like it's hard. I think it's because I'm so exposed to Mark Bagley's pencils that it's hard for me to pick him with any inker because, man, I joked around with my one buddy. I said the easiest job in the world has to be Mark Bagley's inker because everything is just drawn out for you, and you're just like, just the little cross hatching that fades in at times. I'm just like, the man is just like, I'm not gonna leave it up to anybody, which is admirable to me.
So there you have it. Any other honorable mentions you guys want to get in before we put a button on this topic?
Oh, Jesus Christ. Where do I go?
I'll throw out Capullo and Glapion, Jonathan Glapion and Greg Capullo. Been since the New 52 Batman seems like was the reason why Batman seems to be at its peak was because of those two and Scott Snyder. So I'm going to say those two. I think been the most energized Batman since Lee was on it.
I'm with that.
Cool. So we actually talked about this topic more than I thought. I didn't. You two are the artists. I'm the writer here. I never really put much thought into the penciler inker combination, but this was a good subject. You guys, have you watched anything new recently?
Yeah, I watched a lot of shit.
I finally saw Black Widow.
How was it?
I thought it was decent. It was good. My wife was mad at me because I didn't say it was fantastic because she thought it was great. She thought it was funny. I just thought it was okay. But Chase liked it a lot. What else did I watch? Just catching up on my John Stamos basketball show on Disney Plus.
Nice.
I think the whole. I don't know if this is the right thing to say, but I'm gonna throw it out there. I'm just gonna throw this hot take out there. I think Black Widow. I don't think there's a lot of too much interest in it. I mean, Space Jam beat out Black Widow in its second week, and I just think it's because the stakes are no longer there. Like, this is a character who died years ago, and now with the pandemic, saying this is like one of the it's Black Widow's first movie, but being it over a year and a half, almost 2 years delayed, and we know how Endgame ends. Like, and there's no mention of her in Phase 4 or anything. That just seems like they missed the landing. Marvel has made us not care about it because it was sort of an afterthought, and we're so used to Marvel movies leading into Marvel movies that there's not that feel anymore to it. So
yeah, I agree. I think like after Winter Soldier, maybe even after Age of Ultron, would have been perfect, because she would have got her just due, like, because she deserves a movie, but not so late in the game,
right?
Like, it just sucks that they made it where it's like, oh, here you go, and it's like, I don't care. Now,
did you guys watch anything new?
Yeah, it's just random shit on like any other streaming shows. That there's. The Mark Wahlberg movie, that was cool. Infinite, I think we talked about that. There was, I just rewatched the X-Men cartoon on Disney Plus and the Mighty Ducks, so that's what I'm about.
There you go.
Yeah.
I watched. It was weird because this is the first Wednesday that I sat down just to watch TV, and Loki wasn't there, and I was just like, I'm glad I don't pay for cable. Because like there's not, I'd rather just watch what's on the streaming services, and now it feels like now we gotta wait till the next movies sort of come out. But I have been watching wrestling. AEW last night was fire, and it's gonna be great in September, man. AEW's about to just take off.
Absolutely, and this week Snake Eyes comes out. I'm looking forward to that.
Oh shit,
man! So I won't be able to see it opening weekend. I'll be in Michigan, but when I get back, I'm making a trip to the theater.
Well, maybe you and Papa John could go see it, and he could fall asleep watching it with you. Like when we saw Green Lantern.
Will he blame me that he didn't like it? Because he's for Green Lantern. I like Green Lantern. I thought it was a good movie.
It was fine.
The last, what was the last movie you fell asleep on, Sean? Like, did you ever fall asleep in a movie in the movie theater?
Yeah, The Grinch. But with that, I was up for over 24 hours, so I was really tired. I still haven't seen the end of it. So I'm like, I seen the cartoon, put in Jim Carrey, same shit, you know.
Yeah, you got it.
I doze off all the time when I take my son to see like a kids movie.
Mm-hmm.
I'm watching. Next thing I know, I'm yeah. Sometimes it's rough.
I saw Gemini Man and I fell asleep within like the first 5 minutes, and then I woke up for like the final 5 minutes. I was like, there we go. That was a movie that I slept through. But I had a bunch of beers and breakfast earlier, so.
Look at this guy. Getting me to take him out on his birthday.
Pay for my popcorn. Pay for my drinks.
We'll talk when I get back, Mark. Oh, by the way, if you're in the New Jersey area, August 21st, swing by Stormwatch Comics. Mike McMahon and I are going to do a U.S. Assassin Graveyard Shift Sea Dog signing. My son Chase will join us. It'll be a good time from noon to 3 p.m. So I'm hoping, there's I don't know. Is there a big CG contingency in New Jersey, Philadelphia area? If so, I hope.
Yeah, that's Ethan's comic shop when he does go.
Yeah. Ethan shops there too. So maybe we'll get a big turnout. Go get some pizza afterwards. But August 21st, Stormwatch Comics. Let's see. Oh, Taskmaster Dan spoiled it for you. Says the Grinch dies.
Nice. Very
Not
good.
Leandro says best pencilers are in DC of the big two. Jimenez, Dan Mora, Dillian March, Andy Kinder, Clayman, Kubert.
I almost could have tipped the Marvel one, but that was Marvel's loss. Twice now. Well, 3 times actually now, so.
Bastards.
I know.
You just go work for yourself, Phil.
That's why I'm doing.
Yeah.
I plugged Revengers last night on the co-host show, so I have to make good on my promise. Keep up on my Instagram because I'm going to start posting just random snippets of it, so people can sort of get excited. And it's you'll get to see. I'll probably throw a preview of my inks over Ryan Brady's pencils. So I'm making the entire book. So we're penciling it almost even, and then I am inking the whole book.
Nice.
Awesome. So you mentioned your Instagram, Twitter. What exactly are the handles for that?
You can find me
Phil,
on Instagram and Twitter at Animated Phil, on Facebook Animated Phil Art, and my Etsy shop Art of Philip McNulty. Boom.
There you go. Sean Aaron, where can people find you at?
And more importantly, art and stuff on Wednesday and Friday nights with my co-host and brother not Joe M. Sontag. Tomorrow night we have Art T. Bear, and we will now be announcing the Viking Wolf Wolf and Stuff fan art contest. And you still have plenty of time to hit me up in my PayPal so we can sway the votes. Just saying.
It's all been decided.
Has it? Has it really?
I'm the moral compass. Don't bring me into your corruption.
I'm doing my best. I've been doing it for almost 15, 20 years now. So,
You're slowly chipping away at me. I mean, my wife has had a big hand in it too.
Yeah, she definitely has. But when I first heard you call somebody a cunt, like it was like a proud child, like a proud parent. I was like, oh man, my boy's growing up.
I learned it from watching you.
Yes, Carlos Hunt.
All right, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram. Sean just got it. It was a joke grenade. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Coney Waves. Make sure you subscribe to Primetime Polton. Hit the notifications. 5 days left on Viking Wolf.
Wood.
That's what you get when you subscribe to Viking Wolf. You get Viking Wood.
You get wood.
Which leads into official sponsor of the Best Friends Show. Shave my balls.
Yeah, that reminds me. I got to make my video. they sent me that so long ago. I got.
How are your balls doing since you first shaved them?
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've never been better, cleaner, smoother. It's just been magical. We got 6 a.m. in comics in the chat. What's up? I can't stick around, but saw you fellas were live and thought I'd say hey. Thank you.
Very cool.
Phil, 6 a.m. is the one who made me a wrestler in the WWE game.
I know. Watch the Pod cool. God 6 main event.
Mark Yoon says Viking Wood sounds like a Thor porn parody. And Mr. Von Studel is he says back into Viking Wood today. Yeah, absolutely. All right. Back Viking Wolf. And I'll be in Michigan this weekend signing all your Graveyard Shift books. Thanks for watching, guys.